price next to location is still a very strong one. People, we don't know what's happening in the world with energy prices, things like that. People want to stay in fitness and keep doing that, but from time to time they shift to more premium if they can afford, but always go back to high value, low cost.
On this episode of the HVLP podcast, we're bringing you a special edition coming to you from the European Health and Fitness Forum in Cologne. In this episode, we're sitting down with some of the key voices driving the European market forward. First, you'll hear from Marcel Boots, interim president of EHFF and strategic advisor to the board at Basic Fit, as he shares his perspective on the state of the industry and the continued rise of HVLP models across Europe. Next, we'll get into the numbers with Herman Rutgers, ambassador at EHFF, who gives us a look at the latest European health and fitness market report produced in collaboration with Deloitte. And lastly, we'll hear from Kai Troll, CEO of EHFF, on the role of industry unification and why learning from outside sectors is becoming critical to future growth. Before we get to it, be sure to hit like and subscribe. We have new podcast episodes weekly featuring industry thought leaders and influencers. I'm your host, Chrissy Van, and this is ATFW. First, let's hear from Marcel Boots. So you started the show off today here, Marcel, basically addressing in the room a little bit of a quip saying more boomers in the audience. However, the demographic that's really emerging as the key force in the industry going forward are Gen Zs and Gen Alphas. So what do you think operationally is a miss that we have that's just not being addressed to attract that demographic?
I just think that the people in this room, most of them are original founders or people working a long time in the industry, because like myself, I worked 25 years in the industry and it's a very nice industry to work in and to stay in, but you see things are changing and we need to educate the new generation on what is going to be required in the future. And that's more the background of my announcement, that still the people in this room are predominantly male, older, and the target group in our gyms is shifting. And are we ready for that?
Another thing that was addressed said in 2030, the goal was to get 100 million members. And things looked pretty optimistic in that Deloitte report at 75 million thus far. Do you think that this is an achievable goal?
I certainly feel we can pass that simply because you see the penetration adoption rate of fitness compared to the US. We are very much behind, and we see in the countries where the offer is there, and more gyms open, the penetration rate will raise. So new clubs will open in new markets, happening in Eastern Europe and so on. So I don't think it's a very difficult target to reach. And the younger consumers in our gym, so the Gen Z, are actually coming more. They visit more in our clubs. So if they grow older, they probably continue part of that trend. And the new Gen Alpha will probably live even more healthy because they're educated to do so. So I don't think it's an unachievable target. I think it's certainly, with the opportunities there, not at all ambitious.
Yeah, there's a lot of global optimism, which is great to see in this space. Now, when it comes to HVLP, we've seen massive expansion in that category. So in your opinion, what do you feel are the elements that create a strong business regardless of location?
No, I think if you see the growth of high value, low cost chains, they in general have very good knowledge, data on their businesses, their operations. They use that to make the price lower. And price next to location is still a very strong one. People, we don't know what's happening in the world with energy prices, things like that. People want to stay in fitness and keep doing that, but from time to time they shift to more premium if they can afford, but always go back to high value, low cost, because they want to continue, and that's the cheap option. And it's usually the place where people enter, because if you don't know the product really well, it's very easy to enter low cost chains. And then if you like it, you probably move on to the higher. So in my opinion, the high value, low cost chains bring in consumers also for the rest of the market. Working with Basic Fit, I know the numbers we bring in. And we see a lot of people being more fanatic, doing basic fit plus boutique clubs or plus personal training. So I think it's the entry point of price, which is really important. And that will, yeah, probably these chains are better in managing the price and the cost of the operation, and that will help them to, yeah, keep the lower prices compared to people who don't have or businesses who don't have the same knowledge, data, and so on, or make a different choice, because you need volume. You need volume to make it work. So if you're small, don't start in HVLP. You rather focus on something special, because there are already big chains there, every country on HVLP.
What's the main takeaway from a Europe Active perspective?
Europe Active is like the general representing body of this industry in Europe. What you see, we can help younger markets to learn from the more adult, more mature markets. What we also see is that you need to be accepted in medical, you need standardization, you need educated sales force or a workforce. Trainers need to keep educated on certain topics like we address here. They need to know about longevity, about GLP-1. So there needs to be a central body with experts who can help individual gyms to offer that education. So I think Europe Active really is about bringing people together. So let people meet each other and do business. But also we need to raise the voice of the industry there where we need to at a government level. The good example we had on Basic Fit, and that's an example I can quote because we launched a press release today. We've been fighting a long time in the French market to be accepted as a 24/7 remote control operation. So finally the government has approved with a new rule that we can do so with certain rules, but it opens up more time for people to work out, and it will raise the number of people working out, and it will help joiner numbers, people working out. So we need to lobby to get the rules adapted, and we've done that more as a company, but Europe Active is lobbying for VAT rules, for companies supporting their staff to stay healthy. So I think there are certain things we can do as Europe Active as the central body rather than individual clubs. And we need the backing of the clubs and the support, and they give us that backing. So yeah, we are happy with how Europe Active is doing at the moment.
Next up, Herman Rutgers, ambassador at Europe Active.
Field work was done this year in January, so it's very recent data, and this is the 5th year we're doing this research. So first of all, if we look at the total evolution of the markets, we see that the regular fitness practitioners, and this is people who at least exercise once a week. Once a week they exercise. As you can see, this is 64% of the population. That believe exactly once a week they exercise. There is an increase of 2% versus last year, so there was a good solution there. Now, where do these people exercise? This is developed for at home. So these people exercise at home, and that's gone down to 55%, was 60% in the year 2023. People who exercise outdoors is 42%, it's gone down as well. And we've all seen, of course, during the Corona years, that outdoor grew tremendously. Indoor grew tremendously, and we now see that's leveling off. Now the fitness clubs are open again for the last couple of years. And then here we come to sector that most of you are active in, facilities, the fitness clubs. And there you would see it's gone up between 23 and 26 to 51%. So that's the biggest, the only area actually from the ecosystem that is showing growth. Now, how does that compare? So what we've done, we've looked at, and this is a nice graph to say, where are they exercising and where is the overlap? So 26% of the active physicians are doing it in the fitness facilities, 26%. That if we add there the those who do it exclusively at home, it's 22%. Those doing it outdoors only is 11%. And here comes the interesting part. 40% is overlap. This is what we've started to call the hybrid solution to exercise, that people don't do one thing at a time, they do multiple things. And the interesting thing is that the biggest group is those who, this is 50% of all the active fitness practitioners, do their physical activity either only or in combination with outdoor, in combination with indoor into fitness centers. Very interesting. And this can highlight the need for fitness club owners to offer multiple activities to their members that include both doing via the app of the club things at home, doing things outdoors, helping people to do a high rocks competition, to run a marathon. So this is really a very important slide, and it's been evolving over the years to more and more people doing this hybrid activity for a physical activity. So if we then look at the fitness club, this is this anchor of exercising as we've seen. And here you see that the fitness club is 75% of people using the fitness club as their anchor for their physical activity. And for the first time, we looked also, this was new in the research this year, we asked about the special interest facilities. We'll talk about Pilates, yoga, all those other activities, EMS studios that people go to. And here you have it. So special interest facilities are well represented in the total. And if you add it all up, you're 75% here. This adds up to more than 100 because people do multiple things. They go to the fitness club and go to the swimming pool. But this gives you a good impression of the special interest clubs in our ecosystem. We know from the consumer through the questionnaire that the three most important things for them deciding where they go to exercise is location, is the number one thing that they look at. Location needs to be either close to their home or close to their work. The second most important one is the absolute price, but in combination with that, to the value for money that they receive for the service that they buy. What is also very interesting to see is that in the special interest category, people are looking at the interpersonal relationships. People may go to a high-value, low-price club and they wear their headphones and they don't interface with anybody. They just do their exercise, they know what they want to do, and they do it. In the special interest clubs, people have a need for a personal trainer, have a need for advice, and have a need for assistance in achieving their goals. So that's clearly a very different approach in how you approach the consumer in those two different categories. If we then move to another question we asked, and we said, and this is about the awareness of health benefits. I mean, you talk a lot about our industry getting involved with the healthcare sector. We asked a number of questions. So it's a statement. I know that exercising regularly has a positive impact on my physical and mental well-being. And we've split it in the various age groups. And for those of you who don't notice the harp, I wrote it down here. Gen Z is 16 to 29 years of age. The millennials 30 to 44 years of age. Generation X is 45 to 65. That's where a person fits in. And that previous generation, that's where I fit in, is the 75, because it's a 65 actually definition. For me, it's 75. So if you then look at the differences in answering those questions, you see that it's very close to, I know that exercising is important for my overall health. So all the age groups are pretty much together here. If we then go down, these are other questions that you'll find in the report, but we put here. The other question is, in the past, I had regularly skipped or reduced other leisure activities to maintain my training schedule. In other words, training is important for me. It's not just knowing, but I'm also doing. You see a big difference between different generations, and the lowest, of course, the older population, is less willing and able to sacrifice other things for doing their physical activity. Again, you'll find a lot more detail on this in the report that I found. This was very good. If we then go to the next topic, which is digital. But here you see the split we made in terms of the regular fitness practitioners. You see here, of those, 65% use a digital tool. It could be a smartwatch, a tracker, an app. different thing. I'll get into detail in a minute. 65% of the regular fitness practitioners, 71% of the non-regular fitness practitioners, those who are not so physically active, do not use digital fitness, which is understandable. And here is the most important one, is the digital fitness solution users. That was 4,700 people out of the 11,250. Of this was wearable fitness trackers was the most important. If you had these two together, you have almost 60%, 59% are using a wearable fitness tracker. If you then look at the next category, the workout apps, that is again very high in the two younger generation groups, the below 45 years. There's 70% is using a workout app. If you then look at the smartwatch or fitness tracking, that is again heavily dominated by the younger age groups. And interestingly, the nutrition or calorie tracking, which has become more of a popular for people in our physical activity sphere, is very high. Here again, almost 80% of the nutrition or calorie tracking app is used by the younger generation. So you see a clear differentiation here in the digital usage by age group.
And to close it out, we're joined by Kai Troll, CEO of Europe Active. From your vantage point here at Europe Active, what's the biggest shift in the industry that they're not fully prepared for yet?
I think it's the whole shift yet related to a GLP-1 and understanding the opportunity. At least here in Europe, I think a lot still don't have that on the agenda. And I think that is really one of the focus we're also driving as a key pillar in terms of membership, education, but also getting people together and have this discussion, sharing best practices on what some start doing and not, but also looking at other industries on how they approach this and learn from that.
Well, before we started today, you mentioned that you're drawing from a lot of expertise from other industries here at Europe Active. Why did you decide to take that approach for this event?
We still don't do a lot of things that are regularly done and work very well in other industry. When we look at the hospitality industry, the FMCG market, technology. So I think these are all industries that we can learn from and the members can learn from. And I think there is a big appetite to learn.
Now, in the 90s, the goal in 2030, 100 million members. And there was some positive news here out of the Deloitte report, upward trajectory. But what do we have to do to actually push the needle to not just get there, but exceed?
Yeah, I do believe that generally we will reach that goal and probably exceed the goal. It's, by the way, also in line with the EU and the WHO goals. So that's actually where that number really came from. But as it was explained in the market report with the steady growth that we have, we probably reached that anyway, but also the growth through the aggregators, that is not necessarily always considered in that sense. I think there will be a bigger number coming into through our doors, but also GLP-1 will drive growth naturally. I think we just need to educate people what that actually means and be ready for that. We also educate coaches and trainers much better now on coaching GLP-1, coaching people with diabetes and all NCD-related illnesses. So I think when we are ready for that, that naturally brings the growth that we need because people know we as an industry do a good job in serving people.
And last question here, we know it's come up many times, the very difficult pandemic years. We're on the other side of it, but out of that became this industry unification for us to be recognized as preventative healthcare. Where do you think we are in that journey and what do we need to still accomplish to be broader recognized as such?
I truly think we're at the very beginning of this. I don't think that people understand that we need to shift the talk from fitness to prevention. That is a big job to do, and to be honest, we don't do that alone. And in silo, we actually in Europe Active work now with all European and international NCD-related organizations to actually educate them that we have pretty much the same goal and mission. And so that worked really well so far. But the members need to really get that head on to also on a national level do the same approach. So it cannot be done. But I think it has to be done. We cannot change that story ourselves from fitness to prevention and health, and the role we actually then play and the benefit we can play to healthcare systems around the world.
For more insights from the floor, make sure you're following along with all things fitness and wellness. I'm your host, Chrissy Van, and remember, stay fit, stay informed, and keep your fitness business in shape.
Stay fit. Stay informed. Keep your fitness business in shape. This is the HVLP podcast by Chrissy Van. Find us on LinkedIn, like, share, and follow.